I definitely, it was filled with emotion. And I nearly teared up towards the end. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. Microsoft. This blue screen business. Brian, where are you? Can you fix this? Dr. Nebrius. Paging Dr. Nebrius. We have a blue screen issue over here. You are our local Microsoft. What now? Oh, not my department, he says. All right, enjoy your wine. Well, I tried. I guess we've alleviated our technical difficulties anyway. Nope, never mind. Spoke too soon.
So who here thinks they know what Apple Cocoa is? Raise your hand.
Cocoa?
You're wrong. You don't know what it is.
Wow.
It's not what you think it is. It's actually something else. And we're going to hear about it. It's going to be great. So, put your hands together for Ben.
That was good.
Yeah, so I am super excited for this. I've attended WaffleJS like a dozen times, and this is by far my favorite San Francisco meetup. So hopefully I can keep like the standard going. So my name is Ben Gotow. By day, I'm a software engineer, like probably a lot of you. But tonight we're going to talk about something completely different and near and dear to my heart, which is Cocoa, Apple's forgotten kids programming environment.
What?
So at this point in the talk, you're probably like, what on earth is this guy? I thought I was in a JavaScript meetup. Why is this worth 10 minutes of my time? Cocoa was an incredible way to introduce kids to programming. Over the years, I've thought a lot about teaching kids to code. I got my master's in human-computer interaction with a focus on K through 4th grade learning environments. I tried unsuccessfully to start an ed tech startup. And Cocoa did so many things so well that I think we can apply to future ed tech projects. So humor me for a minute while we take a blast to the past. Back to 1996, and I think the colors. That's more purple than 1996
It's 16-bit. Don't worry.
So 1996 was the year that Hotmail launched, and it was like super cool, which is crazy. It was also the year that Palm Pilot debuted. And I was doing some Googling today, and this was actually the Google logo in 1996, which is horrific. I don't know. It was like the year they launched it. I thought they had like the old school kind of serifed Google logo, but that actually wasn't until 1997. So anyway, so we're here in 1996, and at this time, Apple had a really badass team of HCI researchers and engineers working in a group called the Apple Advanced Technology Research Group. They actually had Don Norman, the guy who wrote the Design of Everyday Things, Alan Kay, who invented object-oriented programming and coined the term, Gary Starkweather, who invented the laser printer. It was like a really, really badass crew. And one of the things that they were really interested in was this concept of programming by demonstration. Because back then, as it is today, programming was really hard. And the idea behind programming by demonstration was that you would provide an example of what you wanted to happen in a system. And then the system would generalize that in some way and create a set of actions that you could then apply to any set of data. And one of the cool things was that it required no typing. And so this group invented AppleScript. I don't know if you guys have used AppleScript. It had a recording tool where it would just write the script for you. And another application of programming by demonstration is Cocoa. And Cocoa was actually a really big deal. It's funny how it kind of just completely disappeared because in 1996, Apple actually gave a 4-minute demo by a 3rd grader at the keynote speech at WWDC, which is kind of wild. They just had him up there showing how it worked and stuff, which is really cool. Unfortunately, this is also the year Apple hit rock bottom. I don't know if any of you guys have read the history of Apple. It was a really bad year. They had to recall every laptop they sold, and everybody was saying it's gonna die, and then Steve Jobs came back and they fired the entire advanced research division because they were just blowing money on stuff like Cocoa. Anyway, so I actually have a copy of this running in macOS 8 on this machine. And so I just want to give you guys a quick demo. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. This is going to be a little tricky to do in presentation mode here. So this is Gotow. I'm going to go ahead and... Whoa. Whoa. Why can't I click? Something always goes wrong. Let me see if it's because I have screen mirroring on. Always something. No. Oh no. Oh no, guys. It's totally locked. macOS 8 did not see this coming. Okay. Thank you. That's much better. Okay, here we go, guys. We'll do it on macOS 8. Thankfully, it starts quite quickly. Unlike some of our modern favorite operating systems. Okay. So here is Is it starting? Okay. All right. Here we go. So we're playing a game like it's Red 78. All right. So this is like a really simple game that's written in Gotow, where I'm like this little character and I can like move around through this world. And my goal here is to get me and my little puppy to this egg in here. And so what I do is I come down here and I get this key, and then I can go up through this gate, and it has sound effects too. And I can come in here and I can like go through a turnstile with my puppy in. And I can go up here and get this other key, go through the gate again. I know, right? This is some next level problem solving here. And then I win. All right, so that was great. That was pretty simple. But you know, this is a game that's created entirely from scratch. And so the basic concept of Gotow is that we have this gallery of types, which are kind of like classes, and I can create a new type, and it just splats down here, and I can like drag one of those out into my world. And then I can essentially design what I want that to look like. Oh no, it's okay. So I can essentially come in here and say, okay, I want to make like, let's make like a bad guy. Let's make something to like wreck this puppy. Yeah, totally PC way. Okay. Anyway, so I can make like a circle, and we'll make it like have a big red. This thing is like super evil. I don't know. Okay, so you know, I'm not great at the art component of this. We're just gonna pull one of these out here. So now let's say I wanted to show this guy what I wanted to do in my world. I click on this little recording tool down here, and I just click on it, and we have this new like rule creation screen, and it's showing me like a before state and an after state, and I can essentially drag this little frame outwards and say, okay, I want him to move from the left square into the right square, and that's my rule. And then I can create another rule that says I want him to move from the right square to the left square. And now as I'm creating these rules, what's happening is this character is picking up a set of rules in this little like state machine over here. And if I just step through my simulation now, you can see he's just constantly moving to one side and then bouncing. And essentially what all Gotow does is on each frame, it goes through these rules and it runs the first one that can be applied, and then it stops. And if we want to, we can actually create like a little bit of a flow container here and say, instead of just running the first one, I want you to randomize and do the first one that matches from inside this little container. So I can drag and drop some stuff here. And now when we run this little character just wobbles back and forth, right? It didn't used to run this fast in 1996. It's like right speed. Anyway, so that's the underlying principle behind Gotow. So, you know, let me switch this back to presenter notes mode so you guys use a separate display. It's like one of the only cool uses of the touch bar actually is switching between mirrored mode. Anyway, so what was so great and unique about that? Why is this worth talking about? So the first thing is, Gotow provided a grid and the ability to define rules, and that's basically it. We got to design and draw everything. You can make a Mario game, you can make Space Invaders, you can make whatever you wanted. And honestly, because it was so low res, it's like 24 by 24 pixels, like you weren't like stressing out about making it look perfect. Like you didn't have to compete with like clip art from the internet that was like 400 pixels of beautiful penguin. It was like super easy. And the other thing is that hidden beneath the surface of this game are all kinds of object-oriented concepts. So we created and drew that character, which is basically a class. We dragged the character out onto like our game stage and created like an instance of that class. And we defined the character's rules by recording what we want to happen. We're essentially making this like state machine. And it actually goes even further than this. The whole idea when we were creating these rules is that we click on one of the actors and we're looking at its like local state. And we can expand that to include like the area around it. But Gotow kind of introduces this idea of an instance having its own scope and kind of like making decisions at a local level, which is actually kind of hard to introduce in programming if you're not familiar with it. Another thing we saw really briefly was like the flow control, how it basically advances through the state machine, but we can use containers to create like control flow primitives and stuff like that, and more complex behaviors. Mitch Resnick, the author of Scratch, talks a lot about things that have low floors and high ceilings, meaning that like it's really easy to get started. Like you only have to learn a few things, but then as you progress and as you're learning more and more in the game, it keeps going with you, and there's more and more you can do. And so Gotow totally fits the bill. Like it has actually, you can actually make like instance variables in this thing. It has event handling. It's really cool. So what are the takeaways from this like 20-year-old programming game? Gotow was great because it didn't try and teach programming 101. There are no for loops, there are no if statements, there's no JavaScript, and that's fantastic. Instead, Gotow introduces you to a mental model. It teaches you about classes versus instances, and that instances, you know, have the state, but classes define the rules. And it teaches you that everything comes together into this larger system. And this is really cool because when you've played with Gotow and made games and built up this mental model in your head, like as a third grader, when you get a bit older and someone shows you Java for the first time, and hopefully you have like the emotional capacity to like debug a missing semicolon for half an hour, it kind of just makes sense. Because a lot of the ideas you learned while playing Gotow still apply. And you may not know the syntax for a for loop, but you'll understand scopes and state and like where code goes in a system of objects. And so the takeaway of this whole talk is that I think we need more things like this. Less things that are trying to teach you to code and trying to teach you like for loops and if statements when you're in third grade. More things that give kids games and tools that lay a foundation for a lifetime of programming literacy. Now, that's pretty much it, but I promised I would have one slide of JavaScript in this talk. I actually love Gotow a lot, and I've rebuilt the whole thing in React and Redux. So there's your JavaScript. And you don't have, this way, like, you don't have to find macOS 8, because like, it's actually kind of hard to dig up. And there's like a little tutorial narrated by my wife. So if you are interested in this stuff, or you have kids that want to learn to try it, give it a spin. Thanks.
May I just be the first to say, holy moly, that's really cool. No, I mean seriously, that's really cool. And, you know, you're waiting for a joke. I'm serious. It was really cool. I'm blown away, personally. And I had no clue. Like Gotow was basically like, you know, RPG Maker before. You know, is anyone RPG Maker, right?